The Golden Triangle is a storied mining jurisdiction, and Skeena Resources is focused on a special part of it. Walter Coles is CEO and a returning guest. Walter, welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Happy to be here with you.
Walter, you announced a feasibility study today. What were the highlights?
It's a major milestone for our company. It is delineating the economics on a fabulous project in the Golden Triangle, Eskay Creek. Highlights are 1.4 billion Canadian dollar after-tax NPV, a 50% IRR, and a one-year payback on capital.
What's the next steps after this, Walter?
Well, we got to go raise $600 million to build this project, which we're going to be working on over the next 6 months. And I hope to be able to announce a financing package in the first half of next year and start construction next summer.
Walter, we're in a bit of a turndown right now, as you know. Does this make it more difficult for doing a financing?
Surprisingly, no. I think if we were trying to raise money to go to exploration, I think that's really, really hard right now. But interestingly, in terms of the debt providers or streamers, there's a lot of competition. And for good projects, there's plenty of capital available.
Now, in all the discussion groups, Walter, you'd be aware there's a lot of discussion about possible takeouts as well, too. I assume it's a given if there was the right offer, but what would be some other conditions if it was they're going to be considering a potential takeout?
You know, it's a tough one for us because I look at our market cap right now, it's around 450 million Canadian. And this project in its first year of operation will generate 600 million Canadian dollars of after-tax profits. So it's one of these situations where, like, our stock, just like most other people in the sector, has been beaten down. We dropped from $16 a share 6 months ago down to $6.50 now. So I don't think a lot of our shareholders would be interested in selling the company for a 30 or 40% premium to where our stock is today.
What was interesting with the feasibility study is that you noted a low carbon intensity. Now, this is something that probably wouldn't have been mentioned years ago when you were getting this started. Why does the mine have a low carbon intensity, Walter?
There's two reasons. The first is we've got 3 hydroelectric facilities right next to the mine site, but the closest one is 17 kilometers. And where Eskay Creek when it was in operation back in the 90s, it was diesel and propane. Now we can switch to that carbon-free electricity. The second reason is just grade. A typical open pit has about a 1.5 gram per ton grade, and Eskay's grade is 4 grams. So basically, we're producing 3 times more gold per ton of rock that we're moving than the typical open pit mine.
There's a real transition that Skeena is taking right now. You've been exploring, you've been developing a project, but now that you're getting into operations. What are some of the major changes that you've made to adjust?
Well, it's a change in personnel. We've had to add a whole engineering component to our senior management team, which we've done, bringing Randy Reichert on as president. He came to us from B2 Gold, where he was very successful building large open pit mines, frankly, all over the world. And Randy's going to continue to build out the team underneath him.
What are the opportunities to grow the size of the mine? When you're doing these feasibility studies, you have to make some choices, Walter.
That's a great question. The challenge for us is that in BC, permitting takes a bit longer than it does in other provinces. So our strategy for mitigating that was to aggressively go forward and do the engineering and get the permitting process started before we have finished doing exploration. So in this feasibility study that we just announced, it's a 9-year mine life, which is kind of a little bit short, but we expect over the next 3 years while we're doing construction through continued exploration to increase the size of the reserves and by consequence, the length of the mine life.
What have been the biggest developments in the Golden Triangle, stepping back, Walter, would you say, over the past 12 months? I asked the question just because there has been more focused on the space. I mean, there's Newcrest that has come in, and then there's Newmont to the top. Is there anything that, or I guess also the infrastructure that has happened in the area? Is there anything you'd like to highlight, Walter?
Well, to me, I think the northwestern portion of British Columbia is sort of like Nevada in the 1980s. In my opinion, there's not that much competition up there yet, but I see it coming over the next 5, 10, 15 years. There's so much exploration opportunity. There's so much opportunity to build mines up there. The local communities are very supportive. It's a wonderful place to work. And we all know the difficulties that companies are experiencing in, let's say, South America or Africa. We think British Columbia is a tier 1 jurisdiction, and more people are going to want to operate here.
Walter, can you comment on First Nations as well as the local communities around what you're building?
Sure. We've always taken the attitude that we're guests in the Tahltan territory. And over the last 5 or 6 years, we feel like we've built a very strong mutual respect between ourselves and the leadership of the Tahltan Nation. And as we have advanced this project, those bonds have only gotten stronger. And we're very much looking forward to putting this project into production with their help.
Lastly, Walter, milestones over the next 12 months, a potential catalyst for the stock.
Yeah, I would say exploration. We've got 5 drill rigs turning right now, and we'll be coming out with lots of interesting drill results over the next 6 months. As I mentioned, we've got the project financing package that we hope to announce in the first half of next year. And then, of course, starting construction next summer.
Walter, thanks for speaking with Kitco.
My pleasure.
He's Walter Coles. He is CEO of Skeena Resources. My name is Michael McCrae, and you're watching Kitco Mining.